Well, howdy, nearly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and to all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this, a brand new day. Hokey smokes. Thumbs up for that one. It is not really cold, but it is gray and damp outside. It was wet and raining last night, and it's probably going to be all raining again today, so thumbs up. It's not supposed to be really cold. Yay! I was able to sleep well, and that's a good thing. My kitty cat is worrying me again. She's not eating and getting thinner, and I never know when things like that happen if this is the final time. So here's hoping she's doing okay. She's still active and such, so who knows what's going on. I mean, it could be anything. Life is life. And of course, front-loading your videos. Hey, if you could toss me a like, it'd be very cool. If you could subscribe to the channel, that'd be awesome. If you could leave me a comment, any comment at all, even, hey, for the algorithm, that would be double plus good. And I do want to thank each and every one of my Patreon patrons. They are literally beautiful and literally awesome people that are helping to keep me and my pets alive. Hokey smokes, I would be on the street and homeless without these people's help. What with the increasing cost of everything, especially rent. Hokey smokes, if you would like to help me out and keep me alive, help to keep me alive, I have links in the video description to my Patreon as well as to PayPal for donations, an Amazon wish list with stuff like pet food, and there is a post office box where I will open up on camera and absolutely anything that anybody sends to me, if anybody ever sends me anything. Thumbs up, and front-loading your videos over. Yay! It was a day yesterday. I'm going to talk about the bad parts, but first I want to talk about some good things. I mentioned a few days ago, I have the song Unholy Voices from the Blood video game original soundtrack running through my head a lot. My eyes are so tired. My apologies. The rest of me is doing okay and my eyes are tired. Yay. I've had that song running through my head as meaty. Now, meaty, I don't know how well integrated sound and all that stuff does meaty these days. But the MIDI format is such that if you have MIDI instruments, it doesn't just play blips, blops, and bloops. It plays actual recorded instruments. So you can have an almost orchestral thing from a MIDI format stuff if you have the proper sound fonts and sound banks. A lot of these things don't have that anymore. So they sound blippy and bloopy computery, but still good, even without that. I looked up remixes, and oh my god, people have been remixing, all soundtracks from video games, but so many Blood remixes, and so many of them are bloody awesome. Some of them you can hear the artifacting, no matter how good it is. They're increasing some of the voices singing to a point where it has to be, but you can hear the artifacting of the sound sample being raised up to that pitch. So you can hear the artifacting, but they're still really good. And some of them don't even use samples, they just play them on actual instruments. There is amazing stuff. And the song, Unholy Voices itself, is still, I played the MIDI just in my vlog here the other day, and oh, it is so good. It is so good. Thumbs up for that. I just thought I'd mention that. Yay! And then somebody also mentioned in comments talking about my intro cards getting more and more bizarre. I'm still being really tame with those. I was a madman just a few years back. I would sometimes put the intro like at the very end, in the middle of a word. I was insane, and you never knew what kind of transition and thing I was going to do. I calmed down to do all the stuff I'm doing now. It's not any more wild or crazy than anything anybody else does, but it's just fun stuff to do. I am still a frustrated avant-garde videographer. If I had been born in a slightly different situation where I could have been a videographer, I would be making very bizarre avant-garde stuff and would have been doing so my whole life. Such is life. Now, There is other stuff. I've mentioned but the more there, and then in comments, Floramiu was talking about Hypercubes. One of the best stories I've ever read about Hypercubes / Tesseracts. I think it was called And He Built a Crooked House by Robert Heinlein in like the 40s or 50s. It was a story about an architect who built a 3-dimensional version of what a hypercube would be. So there was one block as the first floor, and then the second floor had these kind of stocky points come out, and then 2 stacks up above it. And so it was a 3D representation of a 4th dimensional object. And then, of course, he gets a call from the person who bought the place after an earthquake because the whole place fell apart. It's a ruin. They get there, and it's just a single box. The house collapsed into an actual hypercube. So when they get in it, at first they're really confused about what's going on, and they can see other people in the house. Like they enter a room and they can see some people leaving in another doorway. It's them in the hypercube. They entered into the 3-dimensional representation of a 4th dimensional object. They were only able to break through by crashing through a window, and they actually broke out of the hypercube back into the real world. It's amazing stuff to think about, and it's amazing the people that wrote. My God, if you like science fiction and if you like amazing concepts and you've never heard of Robert Heinlein, look up Robert Heinlein's bibliography. Hokey smokes. The guy was amazing. Toward the end of his life and his writing career, very self-indulgent and had gotten much, much more sloppy, but still not a bad author. Some problematic stuff. If you've ever seen or heard of the book Farnham's Freehold, that is a very, very problematic book. So I'm not going to go into it, but if you're curious about it, look up Farnham's Freehold on Wikipedia. I bet they have something about the controversies. And then going on to, oh yes, my walking shoes have died. I was walking last night just as normal, came back home, took a look at the bottom of my shoe because my shoes have been leaking. I know I've walked a couple of holes in them. I walked a huge hole like this in the bottom sole of my left shoe. It was chewed up very lightly, but you can tell it happened, the bottom of my left orthotic. So I can't wear those shoes anymore. I've got to buy shoes when I also need to buy things like food and cannabis. And so Joy, thumbs up. Hey, entropy. Let me see what else I have on this list. Oh yes, with my Dungeon Blitz video that I did yesterday, I fully realized what I've been doing and subconsciously reaching for to try and do when I record these videos and then edit them all and then present them. I have made and am making them so that they are like the old time radio plays. I have put in the last one, when I say, okay, I'm going to go check this room out, there is footsteps walking around to show that I'm getting ready to go to another door. When I actually roll to see what the room is like, I have a creaking door opening sound. I change the background stuff as it's happening. The sound of you swinging at the monsters, everything has got the sound, even to the point that, oh, you've got money, I've got clinking coin sounds. So that when it's playing, you really don't need to see it because it's like listening to an old-time radio thing, like The Adventures of the Lone Ranger and all that. Hey! And I just thought it was cool because I like that soundscaping. I used headphones yesterday, so it is all balanced for headphones. It's lighter, harder to hear on desktop, but at least when you listen with headphones, at least my headphones on my computer system, it sounded pretty good. So hopefully you agree if you watch. And I think you should. What else do I have on my list? I'm leading up to one thing, but I'm going to talk about this last thing first. I've been doing a lot of talking about solo RPGs, and there are still one or two that I want to pick up because all I have right now are just fantasy. I want to have something like a horror game, and there's Alone Against Alone Against Fear, and either 4 against the old ones or 1 against that sort of thing, where Alone Against Fear is you are going into, as a person, into a town and trying to fix up a whole sort of monstrous thing that's happening, and it uses random tables and all that. Same thing with Against the Old Ones, except it's Lovecraftian horror you're going against. I'd like to pick up D100 Dungeon, D100 Space, but that's like $20 and out of my reach right now. One of the things that's out there is a game called BORG, and it's Swedish, so it's not pronounced the way that I've done it because it's got like an umlaut over the O. It is a bizarre game in that it's like a real death punk type thing. If you're playing the game, you are willingly throwing every character you make into the meat grinder. It is brutal, very brutal. But the book is presented in such a way that part of the aesthetic of the book is what's drawing people in. It's got mismatched fonts, things placed oddly, bright, garish colors, altered public domain art. It has what they call a metal aesthetic. But it's just a punk aesthetic, it's just punk, and this isn't the first time it's been done. Way back in it was either the late 90s or late 80s or mid 90s, something like that, there was a game called Hole, H-O-L. It's like human occupied landfill. In the game is you're living on the planet Hole, the human occupied landfill. Everybody in the galaxy just dumps all their trash there. You are the people that live there. The book was handwritten. Every single page was handwritten, and then they printed those pages. And so it had an immense punk attitude, because if a guy wanted to stress something, he would just break into large print and then scrawl it. It was all well done, but an intense punk aesthetic. One of the big differences now, because as this one person pointed out in a video, you can't collect all the BORG stuff. I'm pissed off still by the game Alone Against Darkness, because there are so many individual rules and supplements books where you should be able to get this much stuff from the game for what you pay, but you get this much and you end up paying a lot. BORG, you can't keep up. Everybody gets involved with it. There are so many books and supplements out there. There's BORG about orcs that live on space hulks that are living and doing things there. There is Cyborg, CY, and then BORG, with all the same aesthetic all the way through it. I mean, one of the things about the BORG, when they're talking about orcs, is they have the mismatched font thing at an angle with colors around it, because one of the things about them is they got big fucking teeth, and that was in huge letters. So yeah, that whole punk/metal aesthetic going on. But in today's world, with print on demand in places like Lulu and all, everybody can make a game like Whole, instead of trying to get venture capital together to try and get it printed to put it into game stores and see if you're going to make money or if you just bankrupted yourself. Now you can make a game like BORG and then just make sure it's put up well on the PDFs and then put it up print on demand. And that's what they're doing. There are 300 and some odd supplements for the game growing all the time from everybody who even has a slight idea. It's good, but now the bad part is, I went to Walmart last night and I have anxieties, and I have found out fairly recently I am a high-functioning autistic person. I have come close to having autistic meltdowns periodically through my life, but have always been able to de-escalate and not do it. I've come close. I have social anxieties and generalized anxiety disorder. There are triggers for me when I'm not feeling good, and when I went to Walmart, they were happening hard. I like to walk quickly. I don't like to get stopped. If I'm moving quickly, I want to move quickly. Normally, in places like Walmart, if I'm walking to the back of the store where they have sodas, it's a straight shot, and there might be 1 or 2 times where I'm going along and then somebody will be amazed by the fact that there is air and they will stop, and then other people will clump around them because this person suddenly was like, whoa, I'm alive, and just stop moving, and everyone didn't expect that. And so I'll have to root around them to get back to where I'm going. Last night, it was bad because constantly that was happening. Every time I came close to an intersection, there would be nothing. Just regular traffic, light, regular traffic, people moving. I'd get about 5 or 6 feet away from this intersection, someone would walk up and stop. And everybody else would suddenly clump around them because this person just stopped. And they're spending a good 30 or 40 seconds wondering, how do I get out of this mess, because I need to move. This person has just stopped in front of me, but now there's someone behind me who wanted to get through, and I can't move until somebody else does. I move around those because I get so intensely frustrated by them, and they kept happening constantly. When I get up to places that I needed to go, there would be clumped up people, and they would move courteously out of the way into the aisle I needed to go to. It was 5 or 6 major detours before I could get back to where things were, and my anxiety was going up. My anxiety was bad. I could feel myself going towards a meltdown, and that wasn't good, so I needed to get out of there and fast. And so, of course, when I'm walking with my cart, finally, after, a good 8 or 10 more interruptions as I'm trying to get to where I need to go so I can check out, I walk toward the major exit where there is the carts to the side, the exits out of the building, and then there's the gates that you enter that area from the major part of the store. As I'm going in there, there's literally 1 or 2 people that go through. I park, another maybe 1 or 2 people going through as I put my backpack together. Literally, I put my hands on the cart to start moving it. Heartbeat, and a family of 2 with 3 kids stops right around me, so I can't even go past them. And then, of course, because they've stopped, people clump up in this direction and people clump up in this direction. And then while everyone's trying to figure out how they're going to get around this because someone just stopped for no good reason, then this other person who works there starts bringing in the carts. Now, I don't blame anybody for these things. Things happen. I'm not blaming the individuals. Nobody actually means to go, oh my God, hands. But I've done it too, so I know I've pissed people off. So it happens, but it just happens so many times, and just so much would add to it where it could have been minor, but then this added to it, and now it's even worse because this is happening. I needed to get out of there. I'd been trying to hold it together so I could just get things put away so I didn't leave a mess behind me as I raced out, but I needed to get out. I was almost running out those doors by the time I got out of there. Oh my God. Just about everything I had been thinking of gone, because it took me almost until falling asleep before I had been calmed down enough and been able to work myself out through physical work on the walk home that I was comfortable enough to go to bed. It was not a good time. I did do some thinking. I have been able to remember some of it, but hokey smokes. I avoided having a public autistic meltdown by this much. I avoided having major anxiety attack by that much. And I survived, so that's good. And I'm going to open up 24 hours. Well, I have opened up 24 hours worth of comments on my community tab, and I'm going to go through and thank however many people have left me comments in the past 24 hours. There have been a fair amount, and so I'm going to do it quickly because I've talked a long time. We have Jesse Koskinen, thumbs up, thank you. And I have never actually seen any of the Godfather movies, not even one. I don't know if I'll ever change that. but maybe. And good to see you, definitely. And then there's Amor Lane, thumbs up, thank you very, very much. And Shinra, Amogus indeed. I had fun editing that video. JAYY, thumbs up, thank you very, very much. It is appreciated. And Flora Mew, I finally got the meds. I took my meds this morning, and so hopefully in about another couple days things will start to even out. That'll be a good thing, and hopefully I talked about some of the things here and things are good and you'll be interested. Thank you very much. Good to see you. We have RJ Mitchell, greatly appreciated. Good to see you in the comments. Yep, a good old Hemacola. And then there is, did I already say Chris? If not, then Chris, thumbs up. Thank you very, very much. And oh boy, I love painting the walls red. There is Kate, greatly appreciated. Thumbs up, thank you. And this payday, hopefully I'm going to get me some new headphones. There is Elite Ben 4. I got pretty good audio. I need better audio editing skills. And then there is Adrian FNTES, thumbs up, thank you, greatly appreciated. There's Confused Owl 29, greatly appreciated. Paul Mull, and good to see you as well. Paul Mulliv 135, thumbs up, thank you. And yeah, I'm very, very glad to see you. I'm always sad when I start to miss you. That makes sense. What I meant to say is, I miss seeing you in the comments, so it's always good to see you when you are there. I think that's better English. And then with Paul Mulliv 135, I am going to be doing some more walkies here very soon, the recording. Is there anybody else? Spiffy McFarland, thumbs up. Thank you very, very much. Ben B, greatly appreciated. And that is it. 14 people who left me comments in the past 24 hours. Greatly appreciate you. Get me out of my head, into the world, and dealing with real people. Well, hokey smokes, I have talked for a very long time, so thank you very much for listening and watching if you have. And if you haven't, then you won't hear me say this. I'm going to try and get some stuff done today. Hokey smokes, it's already Wednesday. Hopefully you can get done what you need to get done. That would be a very good thing. And of course, with the way the world is, with everything that's happening, please be smart. Take appropriate precautions. If people are getting sick in your area, take appropriate precautions for that. If people are getting hurt in your area, say an earthquake or something, don't go jumping off buildings, that sort of thing. And of course, if you're out walking and you hear the howl of that bus horn stalking you in the night, well, you are going to get smeared in a very, very disgusting fashion over the landscape. It should be quick, and it probably won't hurt that much, but the bus has got your name on it. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and that is indeed a very good thing.